Your soulmate is desperately trying to reach you. Read this before it's too late. My beloved child, something has been moving toward you in complete silence, and if you ignore these next few moments, you may overlook a sign that has been patiently waiting for your attention. No alarms. No grand announcement. Only a quiet pull that refuses to disappear. Have you wondered why certain thoughts return when everything else has faded? Why one feeling lingers longer than logic can explain? Do not rush past that question. Sometimes the greatest changes begin long before anyone realizes they have already started. Imagine standing at the edge of a shoreline before sunrise. The world appears still. Nothing seems different. Yet beneath the surface, the tide has already begun to shift. That is how many life-changing connections begin, not with dramatic moments, but with invisible movement. While you have been busy building your future, healing from yesterday, and trying to understand where your life is heading, another journey has been unfolding at exactly the same time. And here is what makes this extraordinary. The distance between two lives is not always measured by miles. Sometimes it is measured by timing, growth, readiness, understanding. Two paths can exist in separate worlds for years, only to begin moving toward each other when both have learned what they were meant to learn. Stay with this thought a little longer. What if someone you've never truly met has already felt the quiet influence of your existence? Not by knowing your name. Not by seeing your face. But through the strange feeling that someone important is still missing from their story. There are moments when people wake with an unexplained hope, change a decision at the last second, or choose a different direction without realizing that one unseen choice is slowly guiding them toward a future connection. Perhaps that sounds impossible. But consider your own life. How many unexpected moments have completely changed your direction? A delayed plan. A random conversation. A place you almost never visited. Looking back, those moments no longer seem random. They became turning points only after time revealed their purpose. Now imagine that the same invisible pattern is happening again. Only this time, another heart is walking through its own lessons. Every challenge they overcome shapes the person they are becoming. Every disappointment teaches them what truly matters. Every unanswered question quietly prepares them for a meeting that neither of you can force nor predict. Pause for 1 second. Have you noticed that lately you've been thinking differently about relationships? Maybe you care less about perfection and more about peace. Maybe the qualities you once chased no longer feel important. That isn't coincidence. Growth changes what the heart recognizes. And when your perspective changes, your future begins changing with it. Here's something even more remarkable. People often believe destiny arrives like lightning. In reality, it often arrives like dawn. Slowly. Silently. Almost unnoticed. Until one ordinary day becomes the day everything begins making sense. You may feel as though nothing significant is happening right now. Yet many of life's greatest chapters are written long before they are finally revealed. Seeds spend time beneath the ground where no one applauds their progress. Still, every unseen moment matters because it prepares the visible transformation. Your story is no different. There are conversations that have not happened yet, places you have not visited yet, decisions you have not made yet, and each one quietly connects to the next, like pieces of a puzzle arranging themselves beyond your sight. So before you dismiss today as ordinary, ask yourself one question. What if this quiet season is not empty? What if it is preparation? Preparation for a meeting that feels strangely familiar, for a conversation that brings unexpected calm. For someone whose presence doesn't create confusion, but clarity. Do not hurry ahead. The next part of this journey reveals why invisible connections often become stronger before two people ever cross paths, and why the signs you've overlooked may already be pointing towards something far greater than you imagined. You won't want to miss what comes next. Before your thoughts wander elsewhere, stay here for one more moment. Because what you're about to discover may explain why certain moments have felt strangely meaningful, even when nothing obvious was happening. The quiet pieces you've been collecting are not random. They are beginning to fit together in ways that only become clear when you step back and see the bigger picture. Think about the people who have crossed your path over the years. Some arrived only to teach you what wasn't meant to last. Others encouraged you to become stronger than you believed possible. Every encounter, whether joyful or difficult, shaped the version of you that exists today. Looking back, it becomes easier to understand that each chapter had a purpose beyond the moment itself. The experiences that once felt like delays may have been creating the wisdom you would one day need. Now imagine that another person has been walking through a similar journey. Perhaps they have also questioned the timing of their life. Perhaps they have wondered why certain doors closed just as they seemed ready to open. Perhaps they, too, have felt that quiet sense that someone important is still ahead rather than behind. This is where many people stop paying attention. They expect life to announce every important moment with certainty. But some of the most meaningful changes begin as gentle impressions. A new sense of peace, an unexpected curiosity, a desire to become the best version of yourself without fully knowing why. What if those inner changes are preparing you to recognize someone who would have gone unnoticed only a year ago? Stay with that idea. Recognition is not always immediate. Sometimes two people pass near each other several times before the right season arrives. The meeting itself may appear ordinary, yet something inside quietly says, "This feels different." Not because everything becomes perfect overnight, but because genuine connection often brings calm instead of confusion. Have you noticed yourself becoming more patient lately? More thoughtful? More willing to value honesty over excitement? Those shifts matter more than they seem. As your priorities change, so does the kind of connection you're naturally able to build. Growth doesn't simply change your future, it changes what your future can become. Here's another possibility. The person you're meant to meet may also be making choices today that unknowingly bring your paths closer together. A single decision to learn something new, to visit a different place, to take an opportunity they almost declined, each small step can reshape tomorrow in ways neither of you can yet imagine. Life often moves through tiny decisions before revealing remarkable outcomes. If this message has encouraged you so far, and it resonates with your own journey, consider sharing your thoughts in the comments or passing this video to someone who might need a little hope today. And if these reflections speak to you, subscribing simply means you'll be here for the next chapter when it arrives. Now listen carefully. The strongest connections are rarely built on urgency. They grow through readiness, through character, through becoming someone who can recognize lasting value when it finally appears. So don't measure your progress by what you haven't seen yet. Measure it by who you are becoming. Because every lesson you've embraced has quietly narrowed the distance between the life you have now and the future waiting to unfold. One more thought before we continue. What if the moment you've been expecting isn't designed to surprise you with noise? What if it arrives with a deep sense of familiarity, as though your heart recognizes the direction before your mind understands it? Hold on to that question. The next part reveals why the most powerful signs often appear just before two paths finally intersect, and why the timing you've questioned for so long may soon begin to make perfect sense. Wait just a little longer, because this is where the quiet mystery begins to reveal itself. Up until now, you've been looking at separate moments. But what if they were never separate at all? What if every unexpected turn, every delayed answer, every season of waiting has been guiding you toward a single moment that will make the past look completely different? Close your eyes for a second and picture a vast night sky. From the ground, the stars appear scattered without reason. Yet from a greater perspective, they form patterns that have existed all along. Life often works the same way. The events that seem disconnected today may already belong to a design that only time can fully reveal. That is why you should never underestimate the power of quiet preparation. Many people search for dramatic signs while overlooking the small changes happening within themselves. They wait for life to shout, even though the greatest transformations often arrive as whispers. A calmer heart. A clearer mind. A growing confidence that your future holds more than your present can currently show. Those are not ordinary feelings. They are evidence that something inside you is becoming ready for something outside of you. Now ask yourself this. Have you recently felt drawn to improve your life in ways you can't fully explain? Maybe you've become more selective about the people you allow close to you. Maybe you've started letting go of old disappointments instead of carrying them forward. Maybe you found yourself dreaming about a future that feels brighter than anything you've imagined before. These changes matter. Not because they guarantee a specific outcome, but because they transform the person who will experience whatever comes next. And here is a thought that many overlook. Your future connection is not waiting for a perfect version of you. It is waiting for the authentic version of you. The one who has learned kindness without losing strength. The one who understands patience without giving up hope. The one who no longer measures worth by temporary attention, but by genuine peace. That version of you is far more powerful than you realize. Imagine that somewhere, another person is also growing through experiences they never expected. They are learning lessons that will help them recognize honesty, value compassion, and appreciate the rare gift of a connection built on trust rather than appearances. Neither of you can see the entire picture. Yet every meaningful choice brings the next chapter a little closer. This is why today's message matters. Not because it asks you to predict tomorrow, but because it invites you to prepare for it. Preparation changes everything. A prepared heart notices opportunities others ignore. A prepared mind recognizes meaningful conversations instead of dismissing them. A prepared spirit walks into new seasons with confidence instead of fear. And sometimes, that quiet readiness becomes the very reason two lives finally cross at exactly the right time. So if you've been wondering whether your story has been standing still, let this be your reminder. Stillness is not the same as stagnation. Silence is not the same as absence. Waiting is not the same as losing. Some of life's greatest moments spend a long time becoming possible before they ever become visible. Take one final thought with you today. The future has a remarkable way of arriving without asking for permission. One ordinary conversation. One unexpected opportunity. One simple decision can gently open a door that changes the direction of an entire lifetime. Until then, keep becoming the person your future deserves. Keep choosing hope over doubt. Keep believing that meaningful connections are built through character, patience, and purpose. Because when the right moment finally arrives, you won't need anyone to convince you that it matters. You will recognize it, not because it is loud, but because it brings a quiet certainty that feels as though it has been finding its way to you all along. And when our journey continues, we'll explore the unexpected moment when two separate paths finally become one story, and why that meeting often happens in a way no one could have predicted. Stay with me for the final stretch, because the last piece of this journey is not about guessing the future. It is about recognizing why every chapter before this one suddenly begins to make sense. Sometimes the ending of one season quietly becomes the beginning of another, and you only notice it after you've already crossed the threshold. Picture yourself standing before a door that has always been there. You passed it countless times without seeing it. Not because it was hidden, but because you were still becoming the person who could recognize its importance. Life has a remarkable way of revealing opportunities only when your perspective is ready to receive them. The same is true for meaningful connections. Many people spend years searching everywhere except within themselves. They believe the answer is another place, another time, another circumstance. Yet the greatest preparation often happens in the quiet decisions nobody else sees. Choosing peace instead of endless worry. Choosing growth instead of resentment. Choosing hope even when certainty has not yet arrived. These choices shape the future long before the future arrives. And perhaps that is what makes your story different. You are no longer waiting for someone to complete your life. You are becoming someone who can build something meaningful when the right person appears. That shift changes everything. Because lasting connections are not built on perfect timing alone. They are built on mutual understanding, shared purpose, and the courage to be genuine. Now imagine this scene. An ordinary day. Nothing seems extraordinary. People move through their routines. The world continues as it always has. Then one simple moment unfolds. A conversation begins. A smile is exchanged. A familiar feeling appears without explanation. Not because magic suddenly happened, but because countless unseen moments have quietly led to this one. That is how many unforgettable chapters begin. Not with noise. With clarity. And when clarity arrives, it often feels less like discovering someone new and more like finding a missing page from your own story. Before we close, let me leave you with one final question. If tomorrow offered you an unexpected opportunity to meet someone, to learn something, or to step into a new direction, would you recognize it? Or would you dismiss it because it didn't arrive the way you expected? Keep your heart open. Keep your mind curious. Keep walking forward with confidence. The future does not ask you to know every answer today. It only asks you to be ready when the next chapter begins. If this journey gave you hope or made you see your own story from a new perspective, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. And if you'd like to continue exploring messages like this together, subscribing is simply a way to stay connected for the next journey. Remember this as you leave. Some connections are not found by chasing them. They are discovered by becoming the person who is ready to recognize them. So carry today's message with quiet confidence. Trust your growth. Value your journey. And welcome each new day with the expectation that even the smallest moment can become the beginning of something unforgettable. Until next time, keep moving forward. Because the story that is searching for you may be closer than you ever imagined. And when your paths finally meet, you will understand that every step, every lesson, and every season was preparing you for that single moment all along. One last reflection before we part, because there is something few people ever realize until much later. The moments that shape an entire lifetime rarely announce themselves in advance. They arrive dressed as ordinary days, ordinary conversations, and ordinary choices. Only afterward do they reveal how extraordinary they truly were. Years from now, you may look back on this very season and smile. Not because every answer appeared immediately, but because this was the chapter where your perspective quietly changed. You stopped chasing certainty. You started embracing growth. You stopped asking, "Why is everything taking so long?" and began asking, "Who am I becoming through this journey?" That single shift has the power to transform everything. Imagine waking up one morning with no dramatic sign in the sky, no perfect roadmap, no guarantee of what the day will bring. Yet something feels different. There is a quiet confidence within you. A sense that life is moving, even if you cannot yet see every destination. That confidence is valuable. It changes the way you notice people. It changes the opportunities you accept. It changes the conversations you choose to have. And sometimes, those small changes create the biggest turning points. What if the person you've been wondering about is also learning this very lesson? What if they, too, have stopped rushing through life and started paying attention to the quiet moments that truly matter? When two people grow in the same direction, even while living separate lives, they often become ready for a meeting neither of them could have planned. That is why patience is never empty. It is filled with preparation. Preparation creates wisdom. Wisdom creates clarity. And clarity allows you to recognize what truly deserves your time, your trust, and your heart. As this journey comes to an end, remember one simple truth. Do not measure your future by yesterday's disappointments. Measure it by today's possibilities. Every sunrise offers another chance to make one meaningful choice. To be kinder. To be braver. To remain open to the unexpected. Because no one can predict which ordinary moment will become the memory you carry for the rest of your life. So continue walking forward with hope. Keep learning. Keep growing. Keep believing that every experience, whether joyful or challenging, is adding another piece to the story only you can live. And if one day someone enters your life with a quiet sense of familiarity, with conversations that bring peace instead of confusion, and with a shared desire to build something genuine, don't rush to explain every feeling. Simply allow the story to unfold one page at a time. The greatest chapters are never written in haste. They are written with patience, honesty, and purpose. Thank you for sharing these moments with me. If this story stayed with you, let its message travel a little further. Share it with someone who might need encouragement today. And if you'd like to continue exploring inspiring journeys like this, you're always welcome to return for the next one. Until we meet again, remember this. Your future is not waiting for perfection. It is waiting for your willingness to keep moving forward. Walk with confidence. Choose hope over hesitation. And trust that every meaningful step you take today is quietly preparing tomorrow's most unforgettable chapter. Sometimes the connection you've been searching for is not racing toward you. It is steadily finding its way, at exactly the right pace, in exactly the right season, and at exactly the right moment. A final whisper before the story fades, because every journey reaches a moment where anticipation gives way to understanding. If you've stayed until now, you've already discovered something far more valuable than a prediction. You've discovered a new way of looking at your own path. Think back to where this story began. It started with a quiet possibility. A feeling that someone, somewhere, might be moving closer to your life. But along the way, something even greater was revealed. The most important journey was never only about meeting another person. It was about becoming someone who could recognize a meaningful connection when it finally appeared. That realization changes everything. Life has an incredible way of rewarding those who continue moving forward without demanding immediate answers. The future doesn't always unfold in giant leaps. Sometimes it advances through almost invisible moments. A book you decide to read. A place you choose to visit. A conversation you almost didn't begin. A simple yes that leads to an opportunity you never expected. None of these moments seem extraordinary by themselves. Yet together, they can reshape an entire lifetime. Now imagine this. Weeks from today, or months from now, you find yourself smiling for a reason you cannot yet imagine. You remember this very message. Not because it predicted every detail, but because it reminded you to stay open instead of giving up. To remain hopeful instead of becoming discouraged. To trust that meaningful chapters are written one page at a time. There is quiet strength in that way of living. The people who experience the deepest joy are often the ones who keep their hearts open while allowing life to unfold naturally. They don't force every answer. They don't chase every uncertainty. They continue becoming wiser, kinder, and more authentic with each passing day. And when the right connection finally enters their story, they are ready. Ready to listen. Ready to understand. Ready to build something lasting. So if you've been searching for a sign, perhaps this is the one you truly needed. Not a promise that tomorrow will be perfect, but a reminder that today's choices shape tomorrow's possibilities. Every act of patience matters. Every lesson matters. Every step forward matters. Nothing meaningful is ever wasted. As this journey comes to its close, carry these thoughts with you. Walk into each new day with curiosity. Welcome unexpected opportunities. Value genuine conversations. Protect your peace. And never underestimate how quickly life can change through one sincere moment of connection. Because the story you've been waiting to experience may not begin with a dramatic announcement. It may begin with a simple hello. A shared laugh. A conversation that lasts a little longer than expected. Or a feeling of calm that quietly tells you, this chapter is different. And when that day arrives, you won't need to search for certainty. You'll recognize it through the peace it brings, the respect it inspires, and the hope it awakens within you. Until our paths cross again, keep looking ahead with confidence. Your next chapter has not been written by fear. It is being shaped by every wise decision, every lesson you've embraced, and every hopeful step you continue to take. The future is still unfolding. And perhaps, at this very moment,